How do you climb a mountain? One step at a time. Making our world a better place might seem like a huge task, but we're about to see how ordinary people can make a difference and inspire others to join in. Welcome to EcoAfrica. I'm Chris Lems in Lagos, Nigeria. And with me from Lusaka, Zambia is my wonderful colleague, Malama Mukonde.
Hello everyone and welcome. It's great to have you. Here's what we've got coming up on today's show. Women and girls unite to tackle the climate crisis in Uganda. The fishermen in Egypt who are casting their nets wider. And the amazing power of something called a pocket forest. We now head to Uganda, where climate disasters like floods and landslides are happening more and more often. Who is affected? Well, women. So often they're not involved in decision-making, and so their needs are not considered. A group of women in Uganda decided it's high time for change. They're making sure the next generation is better equipped to tackle the climate crisis.
Feminist climate justice! Feminist climate justice! What we want now!
These young women are training to become experts and leaders in climate resilience and environmental protection. Trainer Juanita Babirie knows that as the climate crisis continues, people will need to adapt and new policies will have to be put in place.
Are you not going to call people off their chairs with a voice like that? We want you to really give us good energy. So by the time we get out of here, I want to hear the energy. So as we gather here today, we are really just creating strategies to be included in these policies. So every time they exclude the young women and girls, every time they exclude women, it means we are not getting the real people that need to be at the center of the table. Because they're the ones using energy. We cannot invite men to discuss energy because women are the ones using energy every day. They know the entire journey of them collecting firewood to making food and all the different atrocities that come with it.
Here at its education hub outside Jinja, Girls for Climate Action teaches women and marginalised groups practical skills for climate resilience. Shamina Mutezi learned how to make an eco-friendly stove from natural materials. Now she passes on her knowledge. Shamina joined the programme at 16 after she became pregnant and had to leave school. As well as the stove, she also learned to make briquettes from biodegradable waste as an alternative to firewood. She earns an additional income selling them. I have benefited as an individual. It doesn't cost me any money to make the briquettes, only time. The briquettes sell for the equivalent of 3 euro cents each, so I sell 10 briquettes for 30 euro cents. I benefit a lot. I also build these stoves for people and they give me money. So people out there shouldn't think that it's worthless. I make money and I'm doing well. In places where it's common to cook on an open fire, people suffer from significantly more respiratory and visual problems. The UN estimates that toxic fumes from traditional cooking stoves are responsible for more than 3 million premature deaths each year, mostly women and children. The briquettes used in this stove are safer to use because they don't produce as much smoke. And no trees are chopped down for firewood. Elsewhere, a member of the team shows how to produce biogas, which can also be used for cooking. Livestock manure or food waste is fed into a biodigester, an underground container, where microorganisms break down the organic matter and produce gas. The captured gas from the biodigester can then fire a hob with a clean flame, with no smoke or soot. The solid remains left in the biodigester can later be used as fertiliser for seedlings and crops on the field. But a good yield also requires efficient irrigation and enough rain, which has become an increasingly unpredictable factor in recent years. That's why Girls for Climate Action also teaches people how to construct a water harvesting pan. which can offer a lifeline in times of drought or low rainfall. Some established water sources in the area can be a health hazard because some factories close to Jinja discharge dirty water into the environment. This water source a little further down the valley is probably affected by the pollution. Still, local people draw water from it because it's their only source. Girls for Climate Action and other civil rights groups joined forces, calling for the companies responsible to be held accountable.
So we've had demonstrations, we've written a petition to the Parliament of Uganda, and this has now been worked on. Recently, the minister came and closed 2 of the companies that were releasing microplastics in the water source. The other success is that the company heads have come to have a meeting with the communities, and they have already committed themselves to building better trenches and also retain some of the wastewater and recycle it as well.
A success that can also be traced back to the organisation's empowering programmes. Joanita Babirie wants to expand and reach even more girls and women.
We are putting them at the centre. The realities of young women and girls, the realities of the women in different rural areas, in their different diversities, can shape the different solutions towards climate adaptation. And we believe that the women in the rural areas can be the solution, can have all these solutions, and that is why we are investing in different knowledge sharing. We are investing in creating the next generation of young ecofeminists who are climate leaders to take up leadership and hold those decision makers accountable every other day.
A lot of us love our cell phones and spend hours on social media. So how about using that to benefit the environment? That's the idea behind an initiative in Senegal that's inspiring people to clean up their neighborhoods and make them a nicer place to live. When it comes to waste management, Senegal is ahead of many countries in the region. But there's still room for improvement, and the residents are rising to the challenge.
This residential area in Rufisque, just east of Dakar in Senegal, has become famous. Jokul Njoren is one of the cleanest neighborhoods in the country. It has been awarded runner-up in a nationwide contest carried out online and in social networks. Umar Diop and his neighbors have worked hard to give their streets and alleys a facelift. We didn't think we would win this award. It's first and foremost a community effort. But it really motivates the residents. People now call me for all over the surrounding neighborhoods to get plants and make their living environment better too. What has spread fast about the cleaning competition? In Thies, community activist Sheikh Tijiani Fall has been reaching out and encouraging residents to revamp their neighborhoods. In many places, he sees potential for more growth and more greenery. The nature lover must know, on his terrace, in the Lami neighborhood of Thies, around 60 kilometers west of Dakar, he watches over the prize-winning fruits of his labor. He too, in a team effort with several of his neighbors, has given the area a proper makeover, which won them an award for the cleanest neighborhood in Senegal. We went to nurseries and tree farms to buy plants. We bought 150 plants, and with the help of a gardener, we planted them. Once the work was done, passerbys were amazed by the change and began taking photos, and TikTokers shared videos on social media. In the run-up to the competition, locals not only placed greenery in planters, they also repainted facades and improved waste management. The residents are happy with the results and want to keep it like that. We do our best to keep the streets clean and take care of the flowers. But this is not enough. We are committed to maintaining a good quality of life and a clean environment in our neighborhood. I think we should focus on planting fruit trees and continue to raise awareness. That's how people can learn the importance of a clean and healthy environment. Besides that, they will also learn to understand that there is no life without plants. The change has had a positive impact on the residents' quality of life and mental well-being, which the mayor of Thies has also noticed. He is proud of the impact that the competition has had on several areas across the city. It was during the preparations for the final that the neighborhoods were spruced up, but in many cases, there was no real follow-up. In the Lami neighborhood, however, it is the consistency and originality of the idea that really stands out. I pass through there on my way to work. Every morning, it makes me very happy because they painted the whole street, all the houses with the same color. The street and the pavement are really pretty. It's extraordinary. Across the country, thousands of people took part in the cleanup competition. And also, in the second cleanest neighborhood in Rufisque, residents welcome the results and are thinking about the next steps. It feels good to stay here until the evening to breathe the good air, but unfortunately there are vehicles that drive down the streets. Without cars, it would be even better. Umar Diop regularly posts clips on social media to inspire others to follow his example. He is determined to keep his neighborhood clean and beautiful and win more awards in the future.
Bringing back more green spaces to our neighborhoods not only makes them more pleasant, it also helps control temperatures and safeguard biodiversity. And every little bit of greenery helps, as we see in our next story from one of Africa's most beautiful cities, Cape Town, South Africa.
Lush, green, small and dense, this 200 square meter verdant patch outside of Cape Town is a pocket forest, an oasis in the midst of a built environment, serving a purpose for both nature and humans.
We planted 3 trees per square meter over here. This is what we'd find in a forest after 2,000 years, so we're trying to really speed up the process because this would take thousands of years to naturally form.
Using the Miyawaki method to plant pocket forests is a great way to boost biodiversity and restore ecosystems in urban areas.
The Miyawaki method, it started in the 1970s in Japan at Yokohama University by Dr. Akira Miyawaki. And he came up with this method when he saw in Japan rapid urbanization taking place and the green spaces disappearing extremely fast.
Planting native trees and the most diverse species possible in the tiny forests can help build climate resilience and create community well-being in urbanized areas. The sites for pocket forests are chosen carefully. Their social and historical significance are also taken into account.
This forest is in recognition of First Nations people because this is the site where the First Nations people used to live freely before they meeting with the Portuguese and with the Dutch settlers.
Ahmad Kamieldeen has teamed up with the Sugi Project, a group that helps to plant pocket forests all over the world and bring nature back to where it's missing.
For many people, it's very hard to access the natural environments of the mountains. It may take them 1 hour to 2 hours just to reach there. So we're bringing this forest closer to people. And it's really become a space to boost mental health and mental well-being in very rough fabrics of our society.
The Sugi Project has helped plant more than 200 pocket forests in 50 cities around the world, and Cape Town now has 5 of them.
Day by day, the more biodiversity that we are seeing returning to the forest and the more stories we are hearing from community members, it's really emboldening us to keep going forward with courage in creating pocket forests in South Africa.
Planting more trees and cleaning up our cities helps wildlife to flourish. But modern life impacts wildlife in other ways too. Noisy cities, bright lights and airplanes, power lines, they all pose problems for birds and animals. We cross now to Spain, where Europe's largest wildlife clinic sees many casualties, and they do more than just treat their patients.
Another feathery friend rescued thanks to Nacho Otero. He nursed the kestrel back to health in a Spanish wildlife clinic. The bird of prey had flown into a fence and injured its leg. After being tagged, it'll be released.
Releasing them into the wild is the most beautiful moment. Some fall by the wayside, but all of us here do our best to ensure as many animals as possible survive.
We're in Majadahonda, on the outskirts of Madrid, visiting Europe's largest wildlife veterinary clinic. In just 1 year, 6,500 native animals were treated here. Brought in by hikers or foresters, mainly birds, but also reptiles. And the odd oinking mammal. This baby wild boar was found roaming around alone after a hunt. Most likely its mother was shot. Wild boars are not protected. In fact, several places have problems with population control. Still, they will treat the little squeaker.
We might release this animal in a hunting reserve, or it might migrate to an area where hunting is allowed. But it can survive. We don't decide which animals can be shot and which cannot. But in this facility, everyone gets a chance.
Another team examines an eagle owl. The bird was shot. One of its eyes had to be removed. But vet Fernando Gonzalez is confident that it can be released back into the wild. After all, owls are nocturnal and rely mainly on their hearing.
On first examination, we discovered that he had been hit several times, once in the eye. Unfortunately, we see quite a lot of this here. Too many protected animals being shot at.
Like all birds of prey, eagle owls are protected in Spain and mustn't be hunted.
It's an environmental crime, and that's how we deal with it. We perform autopsies and report to the authorities, so the offence can be legally pursued.
This griffon vulture didn't make it. It hit a power line. Irene Lopez finds severe burns on its wing. Even electrocutions like this are treated as criminal offences, not as accidents. Energy companies must take action.
Unfortunately, this happens quite often. Although we actively search for dangerous spots, asking energy companies to better insulate their power lines, birds keep dying, especially the big ones.
Some animals have to stay here for good. With severe injuries, they wouldn't stand a chance in the wild. Unlike Nacho's kestrel, which is ready to leave the clinic and show off its abilities in the wild.
It can fly over 100 kilometers per hour, but its head stays steady. If it didn't, it wouldn't be able to hunt. Look, its head always stays still.
The time has almost come. A thrill that never gets old for Nacho and his colleagues.
It touches you. No matter the animal, be it inconspicuous or even majestic, it's always something special.
Finally, the moment of truth. The kestrel soars again.
Now, it's not just wildlife on land that's suffering plastic waste. It's a huge problem all over the world, and even the oceans are filled with it. The Mediterranean is especially bad, with an estimated 2.8 million tons of plastic waste. Tiny particles end up in fish and ultimately in us too. We head now to Egypt, which borders the Mediterranean. A social enterprise is driving a cleanup there with the help of some unlikely allies.
Mohammed Mahmoud, aka Luli, sets off on his fishing boat from the Egyptian port city of Alexandria. At the end of the day, his nets won't be full with fish though. His catch of the day will be garbage. I benefit my fellow fishermen. I clean the sea for them. Those who head out after me will find more fish. Like his father, Luli is a fisherman, and he's been casting his nets off the coast here for over 25 years. The huge amount of waste accumulating in the sea he calls home prompted Luli to take action. We used to make more money. The fishing grounds were close by. We'd sail for half an hour to find fish. Now it takes 5 to 7 hours, which costs us money. The floating rubbish is threatening marine life and the livelihoods of fishermen. Marine waste is a problem in all 22 Mediterranean countries. Every day, 30 to 40 truckloads of plastic waste are dumped into that sea. Egypt is one of the major polluters of the Mediterranean, so the problem is particularly bad here. The fishermen used to dispose of their trash by throwing it into the sea. Now we collect used nets from them. When they see the project and how it's implemented, they're excited and want to contribute. The original project, Mediterranean Cleanup, started here in Greece and was launched by the social enterprise Enelea. Its mission is to promote sustainable fishing methods and to reduce marine pollution.
We work in Greece with more than 1,200 fishermen. And more than 800 of these people are from Egypt. And they were telling me all the time, Lefteris, we really need to do this project in Egypt. So, like 1.5 years ago, I said, okay.
Enelea extended its mission for a clean Mediterranean to Egypt, with the project in Alexandria overseen by Ahmed Yazin. Convincing the fishermen to catch waste instead of fish was anything but easy. The challenges included the fishermen themselves, which gave Luli a key role. He understands the issue and is well aware of the community. He started to talk to them in a different way. Now, around 100 fishermen are involved and their numbers are growing. Since the project started in May 2023, they've collected more than 100 tons of waste off the coast of Alexandria. For some, dealing with marine waste has become a full-time commitment. It is productive to work with the fishermen. I collect the ghost nets for recycling, and at the same time I preserve the wealth of marine life. These ghost nets and debris collected from the sea are transformed into something new. In recycling facilities, they're processed and turned into raw material for plastic products, ropes and interlocking tiles. Fishing nets, of course, have the property of sticking to things, which makes their treatment for recycling expensive. But we're still able to make an excellent and durable final product. We're a strong competitor in the market, and we can cover our production costs. Enelea says that 58% of the waste it collects is recycled in partner facilities and doesn't end up in the sea again. Still, a lot needs to be done to prevent waste from ending up in the sea in the first place. Until then, fishermen like Luli will have to continue trawling for garbage. And their efforts have inspired them to make their own waste fishing nets. They're special, much lighter nets, so we're not competing with our fishermen friends. 3 times a week, Luli sets sail, not to catch fish, but to collect up to 300 kilos of garbage, hoping to inspire others to keep the sea clean.
what a great job they're doing there. It's time to say goodbye now. We really hope you have been inspired to change your world and to get others involved too. If you have, do let us know at echo@dw.com. We love hearing from you. I'm Malama Mukonde in Lusaka. See you next time.
And I am Chris Alems in Lagos, Nigeria. If you'd like to watch more uplifting stories, just search for EcoAfrica online. You'll find lots of content. Join us again next time.